This is Electric Universe Geology Earth News. Today we're going to talk about the Grand Hogback. And it is a Grand Hogback. It starts up here, Meeker. Coal mines all over the place, power plants using the coal. Runs down, all the way down here, Glenwood Springs, the Colorado River cuts it right here. It actually comes down this way and continues. I used to spend a lot of time here. And it all trends either to the west or to the southwest, but basically to the west, very distinctly. It's pretty easy to see. Let's zoom in a little. This shows the main part of it. Up here again, all the way around Glenwood. And it's called the Grand Hogback because the Colorado River runs through it, and the Colorado River used to be known as the Grand River until the 1920s, at least in this part of Colorado, and then they changed the name. So you have the Grand Mesa and the Grand Hogback and the Grand River at one time. So this doesn't seem like it folded, which is what a geologist would tell you. That the flat side was on the left, on the west, and it folded up, exposing the east or east-facing side. It shows you the layers on the east-facing side. I have photographs. We're going to go into Newcastle here and see what it looks like where the Colorado River runs right through the middle of it. I'm going to be standing over here somewhere looking west at this. This would be windward, this would be leeward, at least the way I see things. A geologist would tell you this used to be the flat surface of the earth, and it folded up, exposing this side. I don't think that's a possibility, and I'll show you why as this video continues. This is the area we were just looking at. Here's the Colorado River, runs right through here. Here are the very distinct layers. You can see the color. You can see where vegetation doesn't grow as easily in places where it's more lithified. And it runs all the way towards the west. This might be a little southwest. But it's very distinct layering. It's very distinct trending. And it runs all the way through. And some of these layers have massive quantities of coal. Just to the southeast of here. I actually couch surfed, and on the way to the residence there's a coal mine that's been burning for many years. They just can't put the fire out. There's that much coal, and again there's train loads of coal coming out of these formations on a daily basis, running power plants. So it's an extremely large amount of coal. Now we're going to look at the hydrology involved. And if this folded up, would we see what we do today? And I don't think the answer is no. Before we go to photographs, I want to give an overview of what I think happened here. We have the Colorado River running down here, slicing right through the formation. We also have two drainage areas that also slice right through the formation. And it's not as if there's a waterfall. They go downhill very gradually, and there's not that much water there. This does not drain a very large area. This drains into here, this drains into here. But what my point with all of this is that if this folded up, then you wouldn't have a canyon here. It would be a solid hogback all the way across a mountain. And you'd have water building up back here into a lake until it got high enough to go over here and create these canyons that are very flat, so there'd be an incredible amount of erosion involved. But in reality, it would be easier for the water to just come down here and join the Colorado River. So my thinking is that the Colorado River was here. It prevented this canyon, and these little tiny drainages prevented these canyons. While this area grew from wind and dust from the west, from the southwest, almost from the south here, blowing this way, as some sort of a filament snaked its way along the low area. This is not the high area, this is a low area. And it seems as if something electrical happened from way up in Meeker all the way down past Glenwood Springs that created this hogback that trends to the west-southwest, that has coal in it, that shouldn't have these drainages. This should be a lake. This should be a waterfall going over the top, especially if it's catastrophic and recent. So this is a whole different way of looking at this. Now we'll look at a couple photographs. This photograph is taken on the east end of the canyon. I'll show you on maps in a moment, but it's showing this would be the windward side. It would be growing back in this direction. These would be the last layers of growth with the wind coming up the canyon. So, and again, the canyon's quite flat. It's not a real steep hill that you drive down. So this is probably coal over here. This is the part that's burning in places, the part that they're mining. I can't be certain of that. Sometimes shale and coal look very similar. So this gives you an idea of the layers on the east side where the wind was able to come through the canyon and make this deposit. So let's zoom in here to give this some perspective. Here's the Colorado again. Here's one drainage going through. Here's the other. This is the one we're talking about. The photograph we were looking at is right up here, right next to this reservoir. Now we're going to zoom in and get a better look at this. This is what I'm saying. It should be a waterfall. This should have hooked up to that at one time if it folded. There wouldn't be a canyon there prior to folding, and this would all have to be eroded. On the other hand, if this was a drainage to start with, this would be growing around it with this preventing it. The water level would be much higher than today. Today there's hardly a trickle. At least most of the times that I've been there, there's hardly a trickle. So this doesn't make a lot of sense. And there's something else, that there's some anomalies over here. There's straight vertical walls of rock, really vertical, not trending to the west or southwest or even south here, as if something electrical came through this side, the windward side, got zapped in some way. And I also see this in Shiprock in New Mexico. You have these vertical walls of melted rock, considered magma and shiprock. I don't know what these are considered, but I'll show you photographs now. So just to be clear, zoom in. Last time we can zoom. We're going to be looking down here at these walls that seem extremely vertical. Now to the photograph. These are fairly vertical. They're very lithified, very consolidated. Something heated it into these shapes. There was probably material in between that was much more prone to erosion than this rock, so it might have been filled in at one time. So that could be a clue. But there's lots of things I don't understand. But let's get back to the main point of this, which is the folding or not folding. This is not an anomaly. These features running through mountains where there's an existing drainage are incredibly common. And to me, it's a marker of not folding, but being a tough or welded tough process. I'm still looking for a mountain that's folded. If anybody can find one and show me why it's folded as opposed to not, I'd love to see it. And it could be a folded mountain. I've never denied the possibility of it. It's just that when I went out looking for them, I kept running into these drainage situations where if there's a major drainage draining a large area, mountains seem to grow around these drainages, and the drainages are incredibly flat. So you can take an inner tube down it. It's not a waterfall like it should be if it folded, especially if it's catastrophic recent folding. So if you want to invoke that, then there's going to have to be an amazing amount of erosion taking place in an extremely short period of time.